and welcome to Little Learners. In today's video we're going to be looking at 10 top tips to help you prepare your child for starting school. As a reception class teacher, I wanted to be able to give you the tools to help your child at home so that they're prepared when they start at big school. Now as adults we have to remember that starting school is scary. It's completely unknown, it's a completely different world. Even if a child has been at nursery, it's still very different, and if a child hasn't been to nursery or childcare before school, it's a completely alien environment to them. As adults, we're very used to going to new places on our own, and we know that at the end of the day, we get to go home again. But for children, it's very different. Their parents take them to this new strange place and leave them there. Even though you said you're going to come back, they have no guarantee that's going to happen on the first day. So it is so important to acknowledge that this is a very anxious time for children and do everything you can to make the transition as smooth as possible. Now, of course, the most important thing when your child starts school is that they're happy. That is all anyone wants. But if you'd like to help them prepare a little bit more, here are 10 things you could do at home. Number 1. Toileting. Now it may surprise some of you out there to know that a lot of children start in reception not knowing how to use a toilet independently. I cannot stress enough how important it is for a child to be able to use a toilet independently when they start school. Some parents get confused as to whether or not it's their job to toilet train their child. It is the parent's job to toilet train the child. Teachers and school staff just don't have enough time in the day to do it for you. Just imagine trying to teach 30 children how to use the toilet while also trying to teach them English, maths, science, PE, how to share, how to be a good person. It just doesn't work. When I first started teaching, I was really actually quite surprised at the amount of parents who asked me at the beginning of the year if there was going to be someone who would help their child in the toilet. Sure, we do have teaching assistants, but that's not their job either. So, being independent in the toilet includes going into the toilet, going to the toilet, wiping after using the toilet, flushing the toilet, and washing hands. It is no good if a child starts school and they can do some of those things but can't, for example, wipe themselves after they've been to the toilet, because there will be no one there to help them. It is imperative that you show your child how to do this properly. If your child doesn't know how to use the toilet independently and you send them to school hoping that someone else will do it for them, they're just going to end up feeling embarrassed when they can't do something that is a basic life skill. Being independent in the toilet also minimises the risk of accidents, which of course do happen. It is so common for children to wet themselves during the beginning of reception, and no one is saying that that would never happen. And if it does happen, then of course we will help the children to clean themselves up. Usually the school will have some extra underwear and uniform that the children can change into that you then just wash at home and return the next day. And of course children will not just be left in the classroom standing in a puddle. But equally, if that is happening every day, or even multiple times a day, that is a problem. And so it's just something to check up on with your child. 2. Using a knife and fork. So in this country, currently at the time of filming this video, school meals are free for children in reception. School meals are usually hot dinners that need to be eaten with a knife and fork. If the school is lucky, they will have at least one lunchtime supervisor per class, but that's still 30 plates of dinners to cut up for the children, and obviously that just doesn't work out. So it's important for children to be able to use a knife and fork. Even if they can just use a fork, they should not be using their hands to eat or just be using a spoon. If your child can use a knife and fork to cut food, that is even more amazing. But of course these things come with time. Children certainly should be able to feed themselves at an absolute minimum. For children who are used to being fed at home by their parents, school dinner times can be completely terrifying for them because they don't know what they're supposed to do and there's no one there to spoon feed them. So using a knife and fork is a great skill to have. Number 3. Make sure you have everything that your child needs for the start of school. That includes uniform, book bag, stationery if they need it, although a lot of schools don't require children to bring stationery anymore, so check with your school. Make sure they have appropriate school shoes and a PE kit and anything else that your school has listed in your welcome pack. Not only is it important for children to have all of their uniform and everything else that they need, it's also really exciting for them. And a lot of children that I've taught in the past have worn their uniform over the summer because they're just so excited to get into school and wear it for the first time. It's a really nice way to show the transition between nursery or preschool or home to school, and show that when you wear this uniform, that means that we're going to big school now. Number 4. Apologies for the change in lighting. The sun keeps going in and out. My battery died and I had to do number 4 all over again. So number 4, make sure you go to all of the Meet the Teacher days. Most schools will have them. They might even have more than one. You get to go in as the parents and speak to your child's new teacher, and also your child will be able to go in for a kind of taster session to meet their new teacher as well. Usually this is before the summer holidays. So important for your child to do this because they'll get to meet other children who are going to be in their class and also get to see the person who they're going to be spending a lot of time with. It's also great for the teacher because they get to put a face to a name and kind of get a feel for what the class is going to be like as a whole. Number 5, try and meet up with some other parents whose children are also starting at your child's school in September. A lot of parents end up doing this over the summer holidays. They will start a Facebook group or get in touch through the school. You'll just have to look at your school's policies about that, about putting their name in a Facebook group and things like that. But it's really great. The school that I've worked at, each year parents have gone to the park to have a picnic so that they can all meet and the children can meet each other before they start school as well. Also, it's nice if parents can just go and grab a coffee with each other, especially if different kinds of parents can get together. Parents whose child has never been to school before and parents who have had children go through the school system already. That just means that they can give each other advice, and it's just really nice to meet people before you meet them in the playground. Number 6. A lot of schools will have a self-registration board or at least name labels for your child to wear in the first few days so that the teachers can get to know all of the names that they need to get to know. So it's very important that your child is able to recognise their own name. There will also be other things at school with the child's name on, their books, their book bag, lists, worksheets, lots of different things. So it's important that your child can read their own name. Doesn't matter if that's a nickname that they'd rather go by at school or their full name. Even more amazing is if they can write it as well, but that is not something that you need to worry about. Just make sure that they're used to seeing their name in lowercase letters, not all in capitals. Number 7, recognising numbers that are meaningful to your child. So recognising numerals is a big part of reception learning, and it's important to make any learning as fun and as relevant to your child as possible. So seeing numbers on their own house door, for example, being able to recognise those, seeing numbers on the front of a bus, seeing numbers anywhere in their environment. Just when you're going for a walk to the shops or you're visiting a friend, there are numbers everywhere. So it's a really great opportunity for them to look out for numbers. You could try just letting them notice whichever numbers they want, or you could say to them, today we are going to look for the number 5, and then they will have to try and find as many 5s as possible. 4 and 5 are often the numbers that children like the most because most children when they start reception are 4 and know that they are going to be 5. Number 8, sharing. Chances are your child has never had to share as much as they will do when they start reception. Sharing a classroom with 29 other children, as well as sharing all of the toys and books and pencils and paints and everything else that's in that classroom, can be a bit overwhelming. At age 4, children are just getting over the idea that the world revolves around them, that their needs are the most important. They're starting to learn that taking other people's needs into account is just as important as satisfying their own needs. So if they've got a toy elephant, it's very difficult for them to understand why they should let someone else play with that toy elephant. So what you can do for this is make sure that you set up play dates between your child and their friends or cousins, or just make sure you emphasise this when they're playing with their siblings, or even when they're playing with you. It's important to talk about fairness. You could do this when you're cooking to make sure that your child understands that everyone needs the same amount because that's fair. And then also turn taking is very important and something that is a very difficult concept for children of 4 years old to understand. Playing board games is a great way to do that because children understand that everyone needs to have a turn, and once everyone else has had their turn, it's their turn again. Lots of turn-taking games are really, really important. You can even do something as simple as painting a picture but only having one paintbrush, so you both need to share the paintbrush, so they have a turn, then they let you have a turn, and so on and so on. Number 9. Talk to your child about starting school. It's really important that they understand what is about to happen and that they don't just turn up on that first day and get thrown in at the deep end. There are lots of different books that you can read about starting school, and even lots of videos on YouTube such as Topsy and Tim Start School that you can look at with them to introduce the whole topic of starting school and going to a new place. I will link in the description below anything that I think is appropriate for that. But while you do need to talk to them about starting school, it's also important not to talk to them about it too much. Too much talk about it can cause even more anxiety. It's really, really important not to ask any negative leading questions like, but mummy's going to have to leave you there, isn't she? Or, but you don't know anyone there, do you? Or, but are you worried about starting school? You know, all of those kind of negative connotations for those questions can really make a child feel anxious where actually they didn't before. Children always look to their parents and other adults for guidance, and if they think that you're nervous about something, they are in turn going to feel nervous about it themselves. So it's really important just to make it a very positive experience and tell them how exciting you think it's going to be, and really just listen to them. If they are worried about something, don't just say, oh, don't worry. Really listen to what they're worried about and then go from there. If a child is worried that they don't know anyone at their new school, saying don't worry about it is not going to stop them from worrying. You need to talk to them about how they've made friends in the past when they've been somewhere and didn't know anyone, and that they're really good at making friends, and this is the way that you can make friends, and shall we set up a play date with someone we know is starting at your new school? And finally, top tip number 10. Watch all of the Little Learners videos, of course. All of my videos are there to help you support your child in their early learning. If you like this video, please make sure you hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you're already subscribed, you can click on the bell icon to make sure you get a notification every time I post a new video. These are my social media handles. Please feel free to contact me with any questions you have about your child starting school. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.